it took a while. It took an hour 31. Yes, you survived. You made it. You made it to the end. And now here's your prize. No, I don't have anybody here. I don't have a Vanna White here to show. But your prize is Malik Nabers. Yes. And I would say his NFL comp is Chris Godwin. Physical, deep threat, can play over can do slot work. Similar size. Godwin's 6'1", 209. Malik Nabers is 6 foot even, 201. So yeah, similar size, similar skill set. Both run very similar 40s. So that would be my comp. And Jay's going to get into what he thinks on Nabers in a second. He's got his own graphic, but I'll just talk quick. PFF has him ranked number 14, so he's the number 14 overall prospect. Number 2 receiver behind Marvin Harrison Jr. from Ohio State. Right now, if you were going to look at a mock draft, they have him going somewhere between like 13 and 17, which is, makes sense. The second or third receiver off the board. Bengals is one of the teams. He might end up replacing T. Higgins. Donovan, so a bust then. I'll show you a bust, big boy. These are numbers last year, had over 1,000 yards receiving, only 3 touchdowns. So, nothing special, but they look at the physicality, like what's going to translate to the NFL. He didn't have, but how many yards did Quentin Johnston have? And Quentin Johnston so far through week 6 has been a bust. So, just because these guys have 1 million, 1,500, 1,700 yard receiving years in college doesn't mean they're going to pan out and blow up in the NFL. So, his stat line from last year was very pedestrian, but this year he's really stepped it up. And LSU has only played 7 games. So, 52 grabs so far, almost 900 yards receiving, 7 tutties, 16 and a half yards per catch on average. So he's everything on his freshman year. I didn't put that up there, but that was nothing to talk about either. It was like 300 or 400 yards receiving. So every year he's been going up, and I think he's going to definitely come out after his junior year. That's why he's here. That's why he's on this list, because he's going to enter the draft. Guy's only 20 years old. Like some of these other guys we've been talking about, young, plenty of room to grow. If he does end up in Cincy and replaces T. Higgins, I think that'd be a good landing spot. Team him up with Chase. Get a couple LSU boys out there. I like that a lot, actually. He's played good. He tore up Mississippi State. Like, this isn't like we talked about Audric Estimine last week. How about how he struggled against the big boys. He had trouble against Duke. He had trouble against Louisville. Big 20, top 25 kind of teams. But against these SEC teams, that's when Malik Nabers seems to show out the most. He's playing well, whether it's Alabama or it's Missouri or any of these teams. So I've been impressed with that because a lot of these Kool-Aid, the kid from Alabama, he had a good game against him last year when Kool-Aid was covering him. So I just think he's going to translate to the NFL, and I think a good comp, if you're going to draft him next year in Dynasty, year to year, redraft, probably he'll develop into like a Chris Godwin is what I'm thinking. Somewhere in that, like, yearly you can expect 1,000 to 1,150 for yards. A really good receiver. I don't think he's going to be great or anything, but a really good receiver, like probably a really good number 2. I think that'd be lethal if him and Chase were with Burrow and Cincy. Look out.
Ooh, yeah, that's not bad at all. Not bad at all. Yeah, I was doing some digging too as well, and I was actually looking at, LSU was actually, their offense was actually producing about 338 yards per game. So that's almost nearly like 350, 400 yards per game, and their offense is cooking with that. Jaden Daniels down there, and then they got Malachi, Nabers, who's just rolling in. He's like, just throw me the dimes, baby. Just give me that rock. It's just like, hey, just give me that ball. It's he's just catching everything and anything. He's got that Spidey glue on his gloves. So he's just rocking it. I was looking at somewhere else, but they had him at 6'1", but you had him at 6'0". 188 pounds, but I don't know. Each site might be a little bit different. some of
They
the stuff.
sometimes like I noticed that with high school, like they'll usually give a guy an inch because in cleats you're an inch taller than what you are. So, but the
Yeah,
NFL they measure these guys flat foot on a, they're like a piece of meat, like you throw chicken on a scale. So, and I think he's bulked up a little bit. I think he was at 188 last year, and then I
yeah,
think he bulked up a little bit, kind of get some about 13 pounds. So yeah, you're not wrong with those, but that's where the difference in the size comes in. Is
yeah.
different probably with cleats.
I know he so far this year. I mean, yeah, he had some pretty good games at Mississippi, 239 yards. I mean, he had 130 yards against Arkansas. I mean, those are his most two highlighted, performance games that he's had so far with LSU. I was actually looking at NFL Draft Buzz. I mean, I love that site. Pretty awesome site for, some profiles on these NFL prospects that are coming in. They actually have him ranked number 4. I mean, number 4 behind
Kind of blow out.
Marvin. Yeah, so yeah, they got him ranked that high. So I mean, he's behind number 1 Marvin Harrison, Emeka Buka. I mean, number 2 Xavier Worthy from the Texas, number 3. So I mean, so they got him ranked fairly high, and right now, I mean, overall, I mean, it's Marvin Harrison is actually, receiving wise, he's actually number 20. So I mean, Neighbors is actually outperforming him right now. You would think that with a high flying offense with Ohio State, they, you figured he would have more receiving yards, but he doesn't. Emeka Buka, he's not even in the top 100 for receiving yards. So he's outperforming him, and Xavier Worthy. I mean, he's outdoing him too. I mean, some of these high end prospects, and he's got 453 yards, and he's ranked number 48th. Where Neighbors is actually ranked number 1 right now with 860 some odd yards with this LSU offense, which is playing crazy. And then he's actually getting 20% of the target share right now. So I mean, he's a monster hog right now. And then he's actually his catch rate's actually 85%. So I mean, this guy is catching everything and anything. Right now too, I mean, he's actually number 1 actually, just kind of in receiving yards per game. He's actually, he's averaging about 122 yards per game, which is just insane for his caliber and his height, and this is overall what he's made of. Yards per catch, a little bit, 16.5. And that's for in the country wise, that's top 20. So I mean, there's some other wide receivers at different colleges that are outperforming him a little bit. And I think there's a guy from Colorado State who's actually got almost like 20 yards per game right now. So he's outperforming him a little bit in that category. But I mean, receiving,
I think like 300 of those Colorado State receivers' yards came against Colorado. I think if Malik played against Colorado and Coach Prime, I think he'd put up 500 yards. I mean, that's how bad that Colorado defense is. So that might be
yeah,
skewed. We're probably looking and to be at a major school. Most of these, the running backs and sometimes quarterback too, but a lot of times the running backs or receivers, they're from smaller schools, the guys that usually lead in yardage or touchdowns, guys you've never heard of. But I mean, the fact that Malik Nabers is on an SEC team, in the the best, probably the best conference, that in the Pac-12, best conferences in the country, and putting up these kind of stats, and I would say, yeah, number 1, yeah, college wise, this year I think he's the best receiver I've seen so far. Like just
yeah,
game to game, everything. And there's nothing wrong with, and I'll see what you think on a comp, but there's nothing wrong with Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin's a Pro Bowl level receiver. He's not, Hall of Fame level, but I mean, that'd be scary. I mean, that's a couple Super Bowls. Like, there's a couple Lombardis in the future if the Bengals are able to land him. Just saying, like him and Chase, my God. Mm, mm.
yeah. I mean, my comp kind of was maybe kind of a CD Lamb, just because he
I can
played a
see,
little
yeah,
bit
CD.
inside.
See that.
He kind of played at the inside for a little while, and then he's kind of outside a little bit. So I mean, he kind of played a little bit both, and he kind of played more of this kind of more of the inside slot. If depending on who they're playing, he might be outside too a little bit as well. He's kind of that mid-tier receptioner. He's kind of that medium kind of receiver too as well. I mean, he's got some long, deep threats too as well, which is not bad at all. I mean, I'm sure he's learned quite a bit, but I mean, he can be a deep threat too if he wants to be. Also, I was just gonna say he's numbers. He was receptions per game about seven receptions per game. So I mean, he's ranked seventh overall in that category, far as catching everything and anything. So yeah, overall, I mean, Malachi Nabers, he looks pretty legit, man. I mean, yeah, they got him projected in the first round, and it's hard saying where this kid's going to be going. I mean, yeah, with Higgins maybe being gone, and you know, Boykin too. I mean, yeah, I mean, since he needs some help, that wouldn't be a bad situation.
I think another good fit I think it'd be Pittsburgh. To be honest, team him up with Pickens. Like I think they're gonna trade or move off Deontay Johnson. Just in my opinion. I've seen some Steelers fans think any different, but I think Deontay Johnson's to be out the door at the end of the year, so they're gonna need a number two. And
Yeah,
Pickens, and so off top of my head, and that might be where Pittsburgh's picking. No pun intended. Is right in the middle of the first, right in the middle. They'll probably end up 8 and 9, something like that, and they'll be picking right in that neighborhood. And yeah, neighbors look, yeah, Bengals and Steelers. And it might change, and that might change. If the Bengals rip off, if Burrow's healthy, they rip off a bunch in a row, go 11-6. That might change, so then he's out of their range. But Steelers, yeah, Steelers sound good too. They could him
yeah,
and
that's
Pickens. I
not
like.
bad at all. Yeah, that would be kind of interesting combination for sure. But yeah, I mean that's all I had on Malachi Neighbors. So I mean I hope everybody kind of likes this college segment, something a little bit different, and we kind of double team it. We kind of double teamed this
Tomato.
segment a little bit.
Oh yeah, we double team. Yeah, baby, double team. That's right. You got it both ways.
Yeah. But yeah, other than that, stay tuned for next week's college spotlight, and maybe I'll do some digging into the next person too as well. So I mean, who knows? Maybe this will be our small little segment where we talk about players, and this will be we'll make a college spotlight player
So,
list on YouTube. Maybe who knows?
excuse me. Long show. Getting a little. Might need some water. So Jay had mentioned him a couple minutes ago when we were talking about neighbors. Yeah, I'll steal some from you. Xavier Worthy from Texas. He'll be. So we're going to do another receiver, another big time receiver next week. Xavier Worthy is going to be the college spotlight player. So if you guys look, I enjoy these. I know they take, it's a marathon show, and if you stick around towards the end, and if you want to skip the middle part, you want to come back for the college spotlight, or if you want to cherry pick, you want to just come in and out for the, for the waiver section. Oh, I don't want to hear the news. I don't care about the college spotlight. Just give me the waiver